Welcome back to Sports Talk with Britt. Today we're going to do a little recap on the NBA draft. Pretty excited to do this. Talk about what I liked, what I didn't like. This was a deep draft, so I have more winners than I have losers. Really deep draft. I think there's, you can get guys at 10 that you couldn't get last year at 3. I think that's important that there's a lot of good players. And even in the second round, you were getting college stars. And not all of them are going to pan out. You'll see some of my opinions. But first, I want to get to the Jimmy Butler trade. I think the Bulls did as well as they could have done. The market was down for Jimmy Butler because it's been a year he's been on the market. It was down, so it's kind of one of those things where it was trade him now or it's just going to keep getting worse. You're never going to get a star for a star. It's just not going to happen. You're never going to get LeBron for Kevin Durant. Stuff like that doesn't happen. If you're going to trade Kevin Durant, you're going to get pieces. You're not going to get A+, you're going to get 3 B+ pieces or 2 B+ pieces in a draft. That's just the way it works. The only thing I would have liked to see the Bulls do is keep that 16th pick and get the 7th pick instead of swapping them, because basically they moved down, lost 2 guys, and got Jimmy Butler. So, but it wasn't that bad. And the guy they drafted I really like too, and I'll talk about that as well. They get the reason people are mad is because they get Zach LaVine, who's coming off a torn ACL, and he's an athlete. He's an athletic guy. That's how he was good. He's like a Westbrook. He's an athlete. So if he's the same guy, that's good. We'll just see if that's how it turns out. You get Chris Dunn, who was a high pick last year, and just didn't pan out his first year, but that's okay. That doesn't mean he's not going to be good. He just didn't have a great year. At 7, they get Lauri Markkanen, who I love. Lauri Markkanen. I love that pick. I think he's going to be a great player. He's in the mold of a Porzingis. Obviously not as tall. I don't think he'll be as good as Porzingis right off the bat, but I think he is going to be a good player. He's that stretch forward that's a 7-footer. Same kind of player. Played at Arizona, did a lot of good things. So I'm not going to give the Bulls a win as a winner or a loser because it's something they had to do, and it's just not much you can do with that. But the losers, where I go with the losers first, is the Nuggets. I think getting Tyler Lydon, I think that was a bit of a stretch. I think they could have done better. But I do like the Monte Morris pick in the second round. He came from a winning program. He's a winner. He's a senior. He's been through the battles. I think he'll be a solid backup point guard for the Nuggets for a long time. The Grizzlies, I didn't like the Dillon Brooks pick. I don't think he's a draftable guy. Unathletic, doesn't play defense, not a great shooter. He was a star in college, but it's different. He's a bit of a tweener. He's a 6'6", probably power forward in the league. I just don't think it's going to work. He can play small forward. He's just not quick enough. I don't think he can guard the 3. He can maybe guard the 4, but he's 6'6". He's pretty strong, so maybe. It's just one of those things I don't really see where he fits in. The Pelicans drafted Frank Jackson, who I'm not a fan of. They really need to get some more help for Anthony Davis. I don't think they got that in this draft, especially if they want him to stick around, and DeMarcus Cousins as well, because he'll be a free agent after this year. So they need to get some help because it's about time. It's put up or shut up time for the Pelicans. It's getting close. The Blazers, that's the most bum-fuzzling draft. I like Zach Collins. I really do. I think he's going to be a good player. But to move up 5 spots from 15 to 10 doesn't make sense because I think he would have been there at 15. So I don't understand it at all. I think he would have been there. So some things I do like, though. I do like Jonathan Isaac to the Magic thing. Jonathan Isaac's a great player. I think he's going to be a really, really, really great player. He's 6'10". He's got a 9'2" standing reach. Plays really good defense. Can shoot the 3. So I think he's going to be big for the Magic. They've been, like I said, they're looking for a star. I think they found it in Jonathan Isaac. I think he will be that guy. I like Jonathan Jackson to the Suns. I think it makes perfect sense. He's an elite defender. I was watching SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt, and one of the guys said he's one of those guys that'll walk in. He's got that attitude. He's going to walk in the first game, and say, "Hey, coach, who do you want me to shut down tonight? I got that guy." That's his mindset. And when you got him, pair him with a good point guard and Devin Booker, a great offensive player, I think the future's bright for the Suns. Then it'd be dumb not to mention the Spurs take Derek White. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer now because the Spurs drafted him. They just seem to get those guys. If they get a good draft pick, you're like, how did he fall that far? It's probably because the Spurs picked him and they developed him, and they just have an eye for talent. So where I'm going to go, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 winners. 8 winners. Some are more than others. but and some of it's based off trade and not necessarily the draft, which I don't have the Timberwolves in here, but I think they're definitely a winner. Getting Jimmy Butler, I think that puts, in my opinion, that's a top 5 seed team in the West now. They got 2 really good defenders on the outside, and Jimmy Butler and Wiggins can go get points. Then you got Karl-Anthony Towns, the best young center in the game today, along with a really, really good point guard, a really good passing point guard, a point guard that has great vision. He fits that team while he doesn't need to score. I think he fits that team really, really well. I think trading him would be a mistake at this point with all the scoring around him. And then Gorgui Dieng, I like Gorgui Dieng. He's Dieng. It's Gorgui Dieng. But I like him. He's a good defender. I think he fits really good in this offense. So I'm excited to see I think that's a top 5 seed in the West now. Where I start now is the Celtics. I think their first move in trading back from 1 to 3 and gaining the Lakers pick next year, I think is huge. I believe that's probably gonna be a top 8 pick. Lakers only keep it if it's the first pick, so that's even if they were the worst team, it's still got to fall that way. So there's a pretty good chance they're gonna have another top 10 pick next year. Plus the Nets, they may have 2 top 10 picks next year. The Celtics may have 2 top 10 picks next year, and they get Jason Tatum. I mean, come on. That team with Jason Tatum and then possibly 2 top 10 picks next year will win a title within the next 3 years if they stay together, I believe. So we'll just kind of see. That team is really, I mean, Danny Ainge set them up for success, but I think what he's doing is waiting on LeBron to retire. So we'll see. They also get Ogilvy. He's Jay Crowder 2.0. He is basically Jay Crowder, but I think with a better offensive game. That's just my opinion. I think he was a steal in the second round. I think the Celtics know what they're doing. The Hornets, I think, are a winner. They get Dwight Howard, which it's a lot of money. They trade Bellinelli. They trade one of the Plumlees. But you get Dwight Howard, that's an elite defensive center regardless. He still got averaged 12.7 rebounds a game last year. As much as I don't like Howard and a lot of people don't like Howard, he's still a really good center. You get Malik Monk, and you got Kemba, Batum. I think that's a good team. I think they're gonna make a run at the playoffs next year. They pick up 2 starters this year in the offseason, so that's a big deal. The Warriors. Unfortunately, the Warriors are a winner. They didn't have a first-round pick, but they gave a bunch of money to the Bulls for Jordan Bell. Jordan Bell is a stud defensively. He has no offensive game. If he can develop some offensive game, he's really going to be unstoppable. But as a defensive guy who has a little bit of offense, I'm talking not very much, on the Warriors team, as an undersized center, he's going to be wide open. So it's not going to matter. But he's going to be an elite defender on the inside. That I think he'll play a lot from day one. And so they're just going to continue getting better. And I liked what I heard someone say yesterday. If the Warriors are offering you a bunch of money for a second-round pick, you should probably look at that and say, maybe we ought to keep this guy. But they didn't listen, so we'll see. This may be biased, but I love the Lakers pick. And I've heard a lot of people say that are the Lakers draft, and I've heard a lot of people say they love the Lakers draft. I really, as a fan, a lot of times I won't say that. This year, I love the Lakers draft. You take Lonzo Ball at 2, which, you see my video. In the last few days, I've watched more film on him. I've talked to some people, and I'm starting to like that more and more. I think they say Russillo said if you say he has elite vision, that's an understatement. They said he had better vision coming out of high school than most point guards ever will in the league. So, I mean, in the offense, and he's saying all the right things coming in. I know a lot of people don't like his dad, and you can hate his dad, and I don't like his dad, but you can't base how you feel about Lonzo off of his dad. I just think that's unfair to Lonzo. You also go ahead and you got picked 27 and 28. At 28, you take Kyle Kuzma, who's a 6'9.5" small forward, power forward. Luke Walton wanted a guy that plays multiple positions. I think they got that there. We'll see what he turns into. He can shoot the 3 at 6'9.5". That's important, and leads me to believe that maybe one of our power forwards is on the way out. I would assume Julius Randle. He's going to be a free agent. I think it's time that they, see what they can get for him. You trade back you got to pick 28, and they trade back to get 30 and 42, and they get Josh Hart at 30. And I've seen many people saying that in 2 years they will say, how did Josh Hart fall this far? At 22 years old, he was a senior. A lot of people don't like taking seniors. but dude can score. Dude's an animal. So I really like that pick. And at 42, you get Thomas Bryant, who I've liked a lot at Indiana. He's a 6'10" power forward center guy who can shoot the three, and he's super athletic. So we'll see what he turns into. You know, he kind of reminds me of like a Hassan Whiteside, but a better shooter, obviously a shooter. But defensively, a Hassan Whiteside, young before he was a stud. So we'll kind of see what he turns into. Also, I did write down the Wolves, actually. They got Justin Patton and Jimmy Butler. So they got Justin Patton, too. I think it's a good pick at 16. I forgot to mention him earlier. I like the next pick. Tilakina, I don't know exactly how to say it. He's a 6'5" point guard with a 7'1" wingspan at point guard. He should be an elite defender. If it all comes together, he should be an elite defender. That's a good pick. Think of the wings. If they keep Porzingis, which they should, the wingspan, you're not going to be able to – they're going to be able to do this and touch hands playing if they play a zone. I mean, they don't play zone much, but you know what I'm saying. They're going to cover the whole court. I mean, it's incredible, the wingspan those guys could have. A lot of people are down on Ferguson for Oklahoma City. I like Terrence Ferguson. I've liked him since he was coming out of high school. Being an OU fan, OU was actually in his top 5, so I knew a little bit about him before he decided to go to Australia. He's a super athlete that's got a little bit of a shot. He only averaged 4 points a game over there, but he's playing in their top league, so it's just one of those things that see how he develops. I think he's better than Roberson right now. It's just my opinion. I think the overall winner of the entire draft, the top draft, goes to the Kings. I know that's crazy to say, but they get De'Aaron Fox at 5. That's your starting point guard to pair with their starting shooting guard, Buddy Hield. That's 2 really young players, and I think that's a stud point guard. Then you get Justin Jackson at 15, who you traded back to get the 20th pick too, I believe. Yeah, they traded back and got 15 and 20. So they get Justin Jackson, who's a really good scorer for North Carolina this year. I really like Justin Jackson a lot. At 20, you get Harry Giles, who was the projected number 1 pick 2 years ago before he tore his ACL twice, I believe. I think he's got a tremendous upside. And then in the second round or late first, you get Frank Mason, who was Player of the Year, National Player of the Year at point guard. That's a good backup point guard. All 4 of those guys, Fox, Justin Jackson, Harry Giles, Frank Mason, they're all winners. They're all from elite schools. That's your Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, and Kansas. That's big. That's the big 4. So, I mean, that's going out and getting guys like that. They're sending a message they want to win. You pair those guys with Buddy Hield, who obviously being an OU fan, I love Buddy Hield. I think he's really good. You got Scala Bissiere. You already got Willie Cauley-Stein. That's another 2 Kentucky guys. I mean, so they're trying to become a winner. And if they can all get it all together, they got a lot of talent in Sacramento. So overall, I think this was a really good draft. I can't wait till the season starts. I'm really anxious to see what happens with Lonzo Ball. See how that works out. And I think the reason the Markelle Fultz thing is going to work out for the Sixers is he's more of an off-ball kind of guy. He's a point guard, but he plays really good at the 2 as well. And he's not going to have to be the primary ball handler all the time because Ben Simmons is, a lot the primary ball handler. So it's not, he's going to be able to play kind of off, kind of like a Bradley Beal, who's a point guard, who's a shooting guard in a point guard's body. So he can but John Wall's 6'5", so it kind of works. He's kind of like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this works. It's such a deep draft, one of the deepest drafts we've seen in a long, long time. So I'm really excited. Guys, thanks for watching. Share this, like it, subscribe. Message me, comment on here. I'd love to talk to you. Get some ideas about some future videos. I'm definitely going to do OU update in the next 2 or 3 days. Hopefully tomorrow. I'd love to do it tomorrow. Got 2 huge commits today. I want to talk about that. Where I see everything going. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching Sports Talk with Britt. Guys, I'm going to be asking questions like this at the end of every video, so let's have some good discussions.